Hello, scumbags. I'm Andrew Fantasia. It is time for Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting?
Think of us as your own personal Wikipedia. Of all the stories in all the systems in all the galaxy, no tale is more tragic or more heartfelt than that of Darth Sidious the Brave.
Please don't. I'm too weak. Don't kill me. Please, please don't.
Born to an affluent and influential noble family on the planet Naboo, Sheev Palpatine displayed a cunning intellect from day one, as well as a propensity for greatness. This was a lad, the Naboo all agreed, who would go on to do great things for the galaxy. Of course, all prominent historical figures need a mentor to guide their way, and Palpatine met that mentor at some point in his shadowed youth, a being by the name of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Plagueis was so skilled with the Force that he was able to manipulate the midichlorians and create life.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
As Yoda once said,
We are what they grow beyond. That is the true burden of all masters.
Plagueis felt the brunt of this burden all too well. After teaching Palpatine his secrets, Palpatine decided to forge a path of his own, staying true to the sacred traditions of the Sith. This involved him killing his master and taking his place. As the newly forged Sith Master Darth Sidious, Sheev Palpatine put his power and ambition to good use almost immediately, securing himself a cushy position amongst the high echelon of galactic politics. Where else, after all, could one hope to inspire change than right at the very beating heart of the galaxy itself? The noble sacrifice of Plagueis' life allowed Sidious to harness all of that power for himself in pursuit of the greater good. At some point, he decided that having a powerful apprentice of his own would be necessary if he wished to further his goals, and he was nothing if not dedicated to Sith doctrine.
Always two there are. No more, no less. A master and an apprentice.
Thus began a revolving door of unworthy Sith apprentices, including a tattooed miscreant who was little more than a petty thug, and an old ex-Jedi motivated by nothing more than bitterness towards his old bosses. Neither were worthy to hold the mantle of Sith apprentice for very long. Until one day, Palpatine encountered a young Jedi Padawan named Anakin Skywalker.
And you, young Skywalker, we will watch your career with great interest.
Anakin had no biological father, and boasted more midichlorians than any other Jedi in recorded history. Palpatine was immediately intrigued. Of course, people in famous positions are always under the scrutiny of an envious public eye, and the galaxy was soon filled with poisonous whispers about young Skywalker's origin. Allegations floated from disreputable sources, of course, that Palpatine himself had used the abilities taught to him by his master to manipulate the midichlorians and impregnate Shmi Skywalker via the Force itself, in the hopes of growing some kind of genetically modified super baby to use for his own nefarious purposes. Obviously, these allegations are ridiculous, hearsay spouted by bitter rivals and other assorted scum and villainy. Sure, Palpatine was ambitious and bold, but the idea of him stooping to such sinister depths as to toy with the fabric of life itself to suit his own needs unfairly paints him as some kind of diabolical monster. Over time, though, Anakin Skywalker did grow close to Palpatine, who by now had served a long and prosperous reign as Chancellor of the Republic. And once the Clone Wars reared their ugly head, spurred on by the bitter ex-Jedi Count Dooku acting out of purely selfish desires, Palpatine turned to the Jedi Council more and more for aid. Skywalker's mentor-mentee relationship with the Chancellor only grew from there, and there were even rumors, again wildly speculative rumors, that Skywalker was involved in a forbidden romantic relationship with Palpatine's fellow Naboo representative, Senator Padme Amidala.
I truly, deeply love you. And before we die, I want you to know.
As the Clone Wars reached their crescendo, tragedy struck. In a move that surprised the entire galaxy, the Jedi turned traitors, thumbing their noses at democracy and trying to usurp the Chancellor. 4 of the crazed, power-mad space wizards personally led an attack on the Chancellor's office, under the weak guise of an official arrest. But Palpatine stood his ground, even against such powerhouses as Kit Fisto and Mace Windu, and defended himself almost to the point of death. He was rescued from certain doom by Skywalker, who fended off a murderous, blood-hungry Windu and cut the attack short. Beaming with pride, Palpatine knew then and there that he had found a worthy apprentice at last. He bestowed Anakin with the honorable title of Darth Vader.
As Darth Vader.
In order to maintain a safe and secure society, Palpatine had enough foresight to realize that changes, big changes, needed to be made. Therefore, he called an official meeting of the Senate, a Senate which, for all intents and purposes, was synonymous with the man himself, and made an official declaration.
In order to ensure the security and continuing stability, the Republic will be reorganized into the first Galactic Empire for a safe and secure society.
Liberty was given new life that day to a sea of thunderous applause. Once more, the Sith ruled the galaxy, and finally, Palpatine had the one thing he'd always pursued: peace. For over 2 decades, Darth Sidious's glorious empire prospered, with the ever-loyal Vader at his right hand. Peace, stability, and order were practically inescapable. Palpatine had brought hope to those who had none. All was well. Unfortunately, complications arose. Despite his best efforts, Palpatine had been unable to hunt down and arrest all the remaining Jedi across the stars. They spent years in hiding, lurking patiently in the quiet, shadowy corners of the galaxy, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. 2 of the most dangerous Jedi, Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi, had a secret weapon up their sleeves, a wrench to throw into poor Palpatine's best-laid plans. A wrench by the name of Luke Skywalker.
With the blast shield down, I can't even see. How am I supposed to fight?
By an astonishing coincidence, this young man shared the same last name as Palpatine's Sith apprentice. He also happened to be very strong in the Force. The nefarious Jedi used these 2 key factors to exploit young Luke, filling his impressionable ears with lies and half-truths, turning his entire world upside down until he was convinced that Darth Vader was his father.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No, I am your father.
The Jedi's lies were so convincing that even Darth Vader began to question himself. Only Sheev Palpatine saw through the ruse of smoke and mirrors. Taking pity on the poor farm boy, the Emperor decided he wanted to hold an audience with Luke, explain the real truth to him, and even bestow Luke with a promising job that would lead to a bright future within the Empire. Sadly, at this point, the Jedi's brainwashing was too far gone. Luke had fallen for the lies, vowed to topple the Empire in the name of the fallen Jedi Order, and allied himself with a dangerous militant terrorist organization calling itself the Rebel Alliance. Luke Skywalker and his rebel cohorts caused a great deal of trouble, destroying Palpatine's mobile observation station, the DS-1, and attacking his military fleets with cowardly, pirate-like maneuvers. Despite all of this, Palpatine still wished to meet with the boy so he could set the record straight. After years of waiting, this meeting finally took place. Observing the construction of a second observation station, Palpatine used the opportunity to host an impromptu audience with Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. Palpatine begged him to see reason, explaining how nefarious and backstabbing the Jedi had been in the past, and how damaging their cult-like ways had been to the youth of the Clone Wars era, like poor Ahsoka Tano and Barriss Offee. Unfortunately, no amount of truth could pierce the fog of illusion poisoning young Skywalker's mind, and he murdered both Darth Vader and Sheev Palpatine, escaping with his own life just before his troubled anarchist friends blew up the DS-2, causing the additional deaths of thousands of innocent construction workers. Even though his time was cut tragically short by the evils of the Jedi Order, Sheev Palpatine, aka Darth Sidious the Brave, left a lasting impact on the galaxy at large. His selfless actions in the face of adversity, separatists, and full-on rebellion have painted him as a legendary figure whose legacy will live on long, long after his body became one with the cosmic force.
I am the Senate.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.